I call this one sensitive questions. The questions you ask and how you ask them will determine the answers you get in life. Often when people are speaking with persons of influence, millionaires, decision makers, and they get an opportunity to ask a question, they think, this is my chance to pick their brain. I need to get some kind of huge knowledge thing from them. So they ask, what are the top 3 things that I can do to become a millionaire? If you were starting over, what is the one thing that you would do? How do I get to where you got? That's all good and fine. You're trying to get your answer. But if you ask it a little bit different, you may find a better result. The way that I ask a question whenever I get a chance to talk to somebody that I really, really respect is I make sure that I show them my thought process. I make sure to highlight the pain point of what got me to this question. This is for 2 reasons. Number 1, people bond through common pain points. If this decision maker who you're asking their advice had the same pain point as you, when you ask this question, he thinks, oh man, this guy's just like me. He was like me when I started, and I want to give him extra value because he relates to you. 2, you're not only asking a question for yourself, usually you're in an audience. So you want to ask this question for everybody else. The people that are listening, whether it is at a conference and you're on a microphone at a Q&A or you're in a group of people, they don't know the backstory. So as much context as you can give them, it allows the person that you're asking the question to answer it completely so everybody gets value. 3, those people in the audience, they are possible connections for you too. And again, the way that you connect is by sharing a pain point with somebody. I'll give you an example. I was at a conference recently. It was a 500-person conference. The keynote speaker gave a speech and they had an open Q&A. The person that was the keynote speaker is a famous person themselves, but they're also the brother of a famous person that he came up with, built an empire, and then branched off to something different. There was a line of speakers in front of me, and he was just answering questions one after the other. When I got up, I said, your story really inspires me because I see a lot of my struggles in where I'm at and what you're doing right now. You come from a brother that cast a large shadow on you, and you were able to be very successful working with him, and then you decided to be something else. I have a father who I'm very close to that I've learned a lot from and I admire very much, but at a certain point I realized he's an empire builder and I'm not. I'm more of a business developer and a community creator, and I'm off to pursue something different. What I struggled with when I made that decision was, am I a quitter or am I making a better decision based on self-awareness? Did you ever encounter that, and how did you overcome it? And he instantly took off his mask. He wasn't just answering a question. He looked straight at me and he goes, Pablo, are you a quitter? And I immediately said, no. And he said, there you go. That response was everything. And we immediately bonded, and then he elaborated a bit and we had a little bit of a back and forth on stage, and it was wonderful. I reached out to him on Instagram later, forged a little bit of a connection there, and that's an open door that I now have. Even more importantly, as soon as that session wrapped up, someone came immediately up to me and said, oh my God, when you asked that question, I was thinking about me, and I was a musician and I had to give up my musician's career in order to do this e-commerce business, and how I always battled with that and blah, blah, blah. He told me his whole life story. I connected with that person. I'm still friends with him today. And quite frankly, 4 or 5 other people at that conference came up to me and said, I totally empathize with your question. I wish I would have asked it. Thank you so much for asking it. Don't just think about yourself when you're asking questions. Think about the people around you, and think about that connection that you can make by showing the vulnerability, not just in pulling an answer out of somebody, but explaining why you had that pain point and why you're asking this question, and you're gonna get much better answers, plus the ability to make better connections from the questions you ask.